Chapter 7: Emotional Intelligence, the Art of Living Wisely with Emotions. Welcome back, dear listener, to Soft Voice Psychology. Take a breath with me. Inhale softly through your nose and exhale slowly through your mouth. We've traveled far together. Through the fires of anger, the depths of sadness, the shadows of fear, the glow of joy, the quiet protection of disgust, and the awakening light of surprise. We have seen that every emotion, no matter how uncomfortable or radiant, carries its own wisdom, its own voice, its own purpose. And now we arrive at a place where everything meets. This is the space of integration, of understanding how emotions collaborate instead of compete. This is the moment to explore the art of emotional intelligence, the ability to live wisely with what we feel. Because wisdom is not the absence of emotion. It is the gentle conversation between the heart that feels and the mind that understands. What is emotional intelligence? Emotional intelligence, sometimes called EQ, is the ability to recognize, understand, and manage our own emotions, and also to perceive and respond wisely to the emotions of others. It's the skill behind kindness and patience, behind trust and self-control, behind true empathy and connection. Psychologist Daniel Goleman described it as a set of capacities that shape our relationships and our well-being more than IQ ever could. He named 5 key components. 1. Self-awareness, recognizing what we feel when we feel it. 2. Self-regulation, directing our impulses instead of being ruled by them. 3. Motivation, using emotion to fuel purpose rather than confusion. 4. Empathy, understanding feelings in others without losing our own center. 5. Social skills, building healthy, authentic relationships. Together, these components form the art of emotional wisdom, a lifelong practice of inner listening and conscious responding. The neuroscience of emotional integration. Inside the brain, the journey of emotional intelligence plays out as a dialogue between two worlds. The amygdala, ancient and instinctive, where emotion first sparks, and the prefrontal cortex, newer and rational, where reason and planning live. When a strong emotion arises, anger, fear, sadness, the amygdala lights up, sending signals through the body, heartbeat faster, breath quicker, muscles ready. If we act instantly, we are creatures of survival. But when we pause, just one breath, the prefrontal cortex joins the conversation. It asks, is this danger real? What choice leads to peace? That single pause is the physiological foundation of emotional intelligence, a micro moment of awareness that transforms reaction into response. Neuroimaging shows that people who practice mindfulness, compassion, or emotional regulation have stronger connections between these two regions. The emotion doesn't vanish, it integrates. The amygdala's fire warms the reason of the prefrontal cortex. The cortex's clarity cools the intensity of the amygdala. It's a perfect balance, feeling and thinking in harmony. The 4 pillars of emotional wisdom. Let's walk through them one by one, not as theory but as living practices. 1. Self-awareness, knowing the inner weather. Imagine your emotions as the weather of your inner world. Self-awareness is learning to notice the sky before the storm. It begins simply, naming what you feel as specifically as you can. Instead of bad, try tired, lonely, disappointed, overwhelmed. Instead of good, explore calm, hopeful, energized, connected. Each word is a window into the landscape of the moment. Journaling, meditation, or even pausing to ask, what's happening inside me right now, builds this awareness. By noticing emotion before it expands, we bring light to the places that used to stay dark. Think of self-awareness as turning on the lamp in a room you always stumble through. The furniture hasn't changed, but now you can move gently without bumping into things. Without this awareness, we drift. With it, we steer. 2. Self-regulation, responding not reacting. Once we are aware of emotion, the next step is guiding it with care. Self-regulation isn't suppression. It's not pretending you're calm when you're raging inside, or forcing a smile when you want to cry. Self-regulation is giving emotion room to breathe before it decides for you. When anger surges, breathe until the body softens. When sadness pulls you down, allow tears, then anchor in presence. When anxiety fills the chest, ground yourself through the senses. The cool air, the sound of your breath, the weight of your feet on the floor. Every time we choose not to lash out or collapse, we build emotional strength, just as muscles grow through gentle resistance. Regulation is the moment you place your hand on your heart and remind yourself, I am feeling this, but I am more than this. Practice it once, then again. Over time, the nervous system learns safety, and emotions become trusted visitors instead of invaders. 3. Empathy, the bridge between hearts. Empathy is the art of feeling with another being. It begins by listening, not with ears only, but with the quiet of your presence. When someone speaks, rather than preparing your reply, try to feel their emotional temperature. Let their tone, their pace, the pauses between words tell you what logic alone cannot. Empathy does not require that you fix or carry someone's pain. It asks that you witness it without judgment, so the other person no longer feels alone in it. Neuroscience shows that empathy activates mirror neurons. The same neural circuits light up in your brain as in theirs. In that invisible resonance, compassion awakens. True empathy balances closeness with boundaries. It's knowing the line where I understand your pain becomes I drown in your pain. The wiser we become, the more we can stand beside others without losing our own center. Empathy is emotional intelligence turned outward, our inner awareness meeting the world. 4. Connection, transforming emotion into relationship. The final pillar is connection, translating self-awareness, regulation, and empathy into the art of living kindly with others. Connection is what happens when emotion moves beyond private feeling into shared humanity. When you express vulnerability to a friend and they say, "Me too," something sacred unfolds. Two nervous systems regulate together. Two hearts find safety in resonance. Emotional connection is not just psychological, it's physiological. Heart rates synchronize, breathing aligns, the body senses I am not alone. In moments of genuine connection, our most painful emotions soften naturally. Anger loosens, sadness finds comfort, fear eases, joy multiplies. Emotional intelligence reaches its purpose here, not in self-control, but in mutual understanding. The human need for connection. From the instant we are born, connection is our first language. Before we speak, before we even see clearly, we feel. A baby's nervous system regulates through another's heartbeat. A gentle touch, a soothing voice, these are not luxuries, they are survival. Later in life, this truth doesn't vanish. Adults may cloak it under independence or pride, but the body still longs for resonance, the subtle exchange that whispers, I am here with you, you are not alone. When connection happens, something miraculous unfolds inside the brain. Mirror neurons align, oxytocin, the bonding hormone, flows, the body relaxes into safety. Connection tells the entire system, it's okay now. It is a biological sanctuary, not simply a sentimental idea. Emotions as bridges. Emotions are built to connect us. Joy invites celebration. Sadness calls for comfort. Anger demands justice. Fear seeks protection. Every emotion contains a social impulse hidden within it, a signal that says, find another, speak, reach out. Even disgust and surprise carry that social thread. One warns the group of danger, the other alerts everyone to something new worth noticing. When we share emotions skillfully, They weave invisible threads between us. When we withhold or distort them, isolation grows. Connection is the art of expressing authentic emotion in a way that strengthens, not harms, the bond. The courage of vulnerability. Real connection requires vulnerability, allowing someone to see the tremor behind your voice, the truth you'd rather hide, the softness beneath your armor. It is risky. Every open heart carries the possibility of misunderstanding, rejection, loss. Yet without that risk, intimacy never deepens. Think of a moment when someone looked into your eyes and said, "Me too." That phrase, small and ordinary, holds enormous healing power. It bridges loneliness. Vulnerability says, "I trust you with this piece of my truth." And when met with gentleness, it builds emotional architecture stronger than any defense could. We often fear that showing our emotions will make us weak. But in truth, what connects us most powerfully to each other is precisely our fragility. Listening as an act of love. To connect is not only to speak, but also to listen. Most of us listen to reply. Connection invites us to listen to understand. When another person speaks in pain or joy, try this. Pause. Look at them with full presence. Let your whole body listen, not just your intellect. Notice their tone, pace, pauses. Feel what might be unsaid. In that spacious listening, comprehension becomes compassion. Connection happens less through words and more through the warmth of attention, the unspoken message. You matter enough for me to be fully here. Listening is love in stillness. Shared regulation, how our bodies synchronize. When two people truly connect, their bodies begin to echo one another. Science calls it co-regulation. Heartbeats subtly synchronize. Breathing patterns align. Even tiny facial muscles mirror each other unconsciously. It's as if two nervous systems form a duet, calming one another in rhythm. Think of how a friend's calm voice steadies you during panic, or how laughter becomes contagious in a group. That's connection at work, someone else's regulation becoming yours. It means that emotional intelligence is not only a personal skill, it's collective wisdom shared through physiology. The layers of connection. Connection unfolds on many levels. 1. Physical presence. Eye contact, posture, voice tone. Being there communicates more safety than 1,000 words. 2. Emotional resonance. Feeling alongside someone, joy, sorrow, all without judgment. 3. Cognitive understanding. Making sense of what the other experiences. 4. Spiritual or existential bond. Sensing that beneath differences, we share the same longing for peace. A complete connection can hold silence, conflict, even disagreement, because its foundation is respect and empathy rather than agreement. Connection and boundaries. Connection is not fusion. Healthy bonds breathe. They have space for individuality. Boundaries are the skin of emotional health, permeable enough to let love in and fear out, strong enough to keep toxicity from entering. When we overmerge with others, we call it enmeshment. Their mood becomes ours, their storm soaks us. When we overprotect, we call it detachment. We live encased, untouched by warmth. Balanced connection says, "I feel with you, and I also remain myself." It's a dance between empathy and self-presence. Conflict as connection's test. Every relationship tests its strength through conflict. Our instinct is to avoid tension, equating disagreement with danger. But viewed wisely, conflict is simply the meeting of two realities. It reveals the edges of difference where new understanding can emerge. Emotionally intelligent connection turns conflict into dialogue. Instead of who's right, ask what needs are not being met. When both sides listen beneath the anger, to the sadness, to the fear, to the longing for respect, the sting fades and common humanity reappears. Connection doesn't mean never hurting each other. It means staying in conversation long enough to heal. The role of joy in connection. Joy multiplies when shared. Happiness kept private fades like scent. Happiness exchanged expands like laughter in a room. That's why joyful connection feels so nourishing. It signals safety to the nervous system and teaches the brain that relating is rewarding. Even simple acts, smiling at a stranger, sharing music, cooking together, train the nervous system towards social trust. Where fear contracts, joy expands. Where anger divides, joy unites. Connection thrives in joy's company. Emotional honesty. The deepest connections rest on honesty, not brutal truth, but kind truth. It's saying, "This is how I feel," instead of hiding behind politeness or silence. It's allowing discomfort instead of performing harmony. Emotional honesty requires self-awareness. What do I truly feel? And self-regulation. How can I express this kindly? Honesty is the bridge between our inner authenticity and outer relationships. Without it, connection collapses under the weight of pretense. Connection in solitude. Even when alone, connection continues within. How you relate to your own emotions is the foundation of how you relate to others. Treat anger tenderly right, you'll speak gently to others' anger. Respect your sadness right, you will honor theirs. Celebrate your joy right, you'll amplify everyone's. Solitude is where connection begins, because when you make peace with your inner community of feelings, you bring that peace into every conversation, every touch, every glance. Let's explore ways to keep growing this inner wisdom. Mindfulness and the pause. A single conscious breath can prevent 1,000 regrets. Before acting on emotion, pause. Notice, what am I feeling? What story am I telling? Is it true right now? This half-second of mindfulness is often all it takes for the wiser self to arrive and steer the reaction toward grace. Meditation, slow breathing. Time in nature all train this muscle of awareness. Emotional vocabulary and journaling. Language gives shape to emotion. The richer your vocabulary, the more precisely you can navigate your inner world. Try keeping an emotion journal. Each day write, "Here, what happened, here's how I felt, here's what I learned from it." Patterns will reveal themselves, triggers, themes, hidden needs. Writing carves clarity from chaos. Compassionate communication. Speak from experience, not accusation. Instead of "you hurt me," say, "I felt hurt when that happened." This small shift transforms blame into dialogue. Listening mirrors this softness. Rather than trying to fix another, simply repeat what you heard to show that you understand. When communication becomes compassionate, even tension becomes an opportunity to understand one another more deeply. Physiological regulation. The mind is anchored in the body. When the body is calm, emotions follow. Practice deep breathing. Inhale for 4 counts, exhale for 6. This activates the parasympathetic, rest and restore system. Walk slowly. Drink water mindfully, stretch. Touch something grounding, wood, fabric, your own palm. These simple acts remind the body that it is safe to feel. Let's finish this chapter and the season with a guided inner reflection. Find a comfortable seat. Close your eyes. Take a slow, deep breath in and exhale softly. Imagine that inside your mind, there is a round table. Around it sit 6 familiar figures, each emotion you've met along this journey. There is anger, fiery but protective. Sadness, gentle and deep. Fear, cautious and alert. Joy, bright and warm. Disgust, discerning and firm. And surprise, curious and wide-eyed. See them all sitting together, looking at you. For a long time, they've been competing for space, each wanting to be heard. Now you are their moderator, their friend. You invite them to speak, one by one. Anger steps forward first. Listen to what it says. "I only ever wanted respect. I burn so you can stand for yourself." You nod, "Thank you, anger." Sadness speaks. I come when something precious ends. I help you honor what mattered. You place a hand over your heart. Thank you, sadness. Fear whispers, I try to protect you from harm. Please remember that not all alarms mean danger. You breathe compassion toward fear. Joy laughs softly. I remind you that life isn't only survival, it's also celebration. You smile, thank you, joy. Disgust raises an eyebrow. I keep your boundaries clean, but sometimes I judge too quickly, teach me balance. You accept that wisdom. And surprise tilts its head with childlike wonder. I'm here to wake you up when life hides something new. You bow your head, thank you, surprise. Now, as they all sit again, imagine light rising from the table, soft golden light that joins their voices into harmony. Each emotion transforms. Anger becomes courage, sadness becomes depth, fear becomes wisdom, joy becomes gratitude, disgust becomes integrity, surprise becomes curiosity. You realize they were never enemies. They were different notes in the same song. Sit in this harmony for a few breaths. Inhale peace, exhale understanding. Whisper inwardly, I am the one who listens. I am the space where all emotions are allowed and guided with compassion. Take another breath. Feel the inner dialogue growing quiet. The meeting is over, but the friendship remains. As we close this final chapter of soft voice psychology, let us remember what this journey has really been about. It was never about controlling emotions or silencing them. It was about learning to listen, to recognize that every feeling, no matter how fierce or fragile, speaks the language of care. Anger protects dignity. Sadness honors love. Fear preserves life. Joy renews hope. Disgust defends integrity. Surprise awakens curiosity. Together, they form the compass of our inner world. And emotional intelligence is the gentle hand that holds that compass steady. Living wisely with emotions doesn't mean being calm all the time. It means you know the difference between reacting and choosing. It means when anger visits, you breathe before speaking. When sadness comes, you rest instead of collapse. When fear rises, you listen instead of run. When joy appears, you allow it to linger. Wisdom in emotion is not perfection, it is presence. So tonight or today, wherever you are listening, I invite you to take one final deep breath. Inhale awareness, exhale gratitude. Whisper softly to yourself, I am learning to live wisely with what I feel. Let that sentence echo through you until it becomes more than words, it becomes truth. Because emotional intelligence is not something to master once. It is the lifelong art of listening, to yourself, to others, to life itself, with a soft, wise voice.